All right, everyone, I'm just leaving Cherry Hill Nissan. I was just talking to the parts guy there. It's Thursday. I said, how's business? He said, they ain't busy. You can definitely feel that it's slow. There's nobody waiting for service in the service department. Nobody waiting for service in the service waiting room for service at the Cherry Hill Nissan. That's right now in the middle of the day on Thursday. I didn't go into the bays to see what work was dropped off, but typically when I go into Cherry Hill Nissan, there's usually people sitting every time I go in. There's nobody sitting in there. And the parts counter wasn't piled up with parts. Take it for what it may be. Anyway, I'm Anthony from Meineke Sentiments, and someone recommends saying that. Sometimes I will, sometimes I won't. That there's a lot of questions about oil, weight, and viscosity. It starts with you as the vehicle owner to trust your service provider, to advise you correctly. And what do I mean by that? To advise you of the right things to do to your car to keep it maintained properly. They already know all the bad, the good that goes on inside with defects, recalls, silent recalls. They know what's not machined right, what's machined wrong. That's, they know what maintenance interval should be done way sooner than way later. But are they really telling you that? The good guys are. So if you have a question about oil, weight, and viscosity, one thing is oil doesn't last 5 and 10,000 mile intervals. Those days are all gone, they're lies, and it's all starting to show up now in YouTube content that it's all lies. You have to take pride in your vehicle and ownership of it, and how do you want to maintain it? Do you want to maintain it to where it has engine problems as soon as you pay for it, or continue to have 10-year car payments and have engine problems? You don't want that. So one is breakdown. All right, I have a car. We used to change oil every 3,000 miles. But now that that there's been so many lies in the industry over the years that, even oil change places or oil change oil manufacturing companies say go 20,000 miles on your oil change. That's not happening. That just promotes more internal engine failure. So what if I didn't know any better? Now you're getting scared that you bought this GM vehicle, right? And now GM's saying, oh my God, don't use 0-20 in our engines anymore because we made a mistake. They've been making mistakes for years. I have a cop behind me, so I'm trying to stay within the speed limit because he's pacing me and do a video at the same time. And I'm going 27 miles an hour, and I think it's 25. So we'll just grip down a little bit. Maybe he will pull me over. I don't know. Maybe he doesn't care. That in your owner's manual, if you have the owner's manual, it will say in your owner's manual what oil to use in your engine based on your climate, based on your abuse, and what you can do. I don't believe that there is one oil spec listed for every vehicle. It does go by climate, area of the world, and then it also goes by, what you're using. And like Ford Boss Me said, what is the difference in the Coyote motor with no supercharger, right? And then a Coyote that gets an OEM supercharger, it immediately says that you should upgrade the weight and viscosity of that oil. Well, it's the same long block. It's exactly the same long block. So what they're saying is now that this engine's going to be under more abuse, they want you to put a better oil in there for lubricating and viscosity reasons and protection. Because the minimum standards or the minimum quality of oil that they put in that engine are the minimums. And how do you get maximum results from minimums? Everyone knows that. It's so hard to do. So first thing you want to do is look in your owner's manual if you care about your engine healthiness. And then you want to, compare what you're using, right, to what you're getting. So if you're going to a Quick Lube or you're going to Jiffy Lube or you're going to Valvoline, anyway, the cop passed me. I'm sorry about that. If you're going there, find out what oil they're using. Now, internal engine problems have already started, and you may not be aware of it. But how do you correct it? Well, you're going to have to find a good mechanic or do some research and learn from the guys like me and Ford Boss Me and Ford Master Tech Mocha Loco and a couple other guys out here that, and now the Motor Oil Geek has joined the party, right? Thank you, Motor Oil Geek. You should have been saying this long ago. that don't trust the oil change life monitors and indicators. Advise the customers what the safe thing to do to their car is a good oil change interval. And don't extend your oil regardless of what your testing is, because you want to give the customers good advice. telling the public that oil tests good at 5,000 miles and tests good at 7,500 miles is not a good thing, because then what? Then they're going to continue to drive their car in the danger zone. But look in your owner's manual. If you have access to it, it should tell you what to use. If you don't know, you could call your service provider or call us. We can look that up for you and say, hey, this vehicle has 3 different oil viscosities based on climate or abuse or area of the world, and you can use this oil. And like I said, another oil. I don't know too many people who are posting that. Man, this cop is all over the place. Is he trying to pull me over? That they've lost their engine from putting a little bit thicker of oil in their vehicle. I don't know anybody who's done that. Zero. Now, if you're putting, like, I don't know, filling your crankcase with gear oil, it's possible. And not that I've not ever put gear oil in auction cars to go to the sale, because that's what I was told to do. I put straight 80W90 or 140 in a car, and they send it to the sale. And I'm going, long ago. You may have problems doing that. But if you have a 0 minimum specification oil, 0 weight, and 16 viscosity, I personally see no reason why you can't go up to a 5 weight, 520. You're just adding more protection to your vehicle. And not every driver is exactly the same. Everybody who's driving on the highway is driving their car with low oil, low coolant, full oil, full coolant, top tier gasoline, low tier gasoline, doing maintenance, not doing maintenance. Every vehicle is not the same exact outcome from the oil that comes out of the same drum that's going in it. It's all different. And what I'm saying to you is experiment. Find the information out first. Hope that you already don't have issues inside your engine, sludge, varnish, all this stuff. And if GM can immediately come out and say, we're going to go from a 0 weight, 020 to a 040, they doubled the viscosity of that oil. I don't see any reason why you can't go to a 5 weight, 530, right? If you have a 016 or anything. And it's all in perspective. So there's a lot of technicians on here to say they run 1540 and everything with no issues. And it's an experiment. I would rather run better. In my race car, it's turbocharged. I run 1030. My brother's twin turbo car, he runs a 1030 full synthetic. Turbocharged vehicle, we run 1030. And I run 1030 racing oil, high zinc additive, $30 a quart. He runs Mobil 1 1030 in his. We don't have any problems with our engines, race engines, real race engines. So if you have a turbocharged car and your oil feed and return lines are coaxed and sludged from overextended oil changes, putting thicker oil in there may cause catastrophic failure. But the damage was already done before that. Some people ask about Valvoline Restore and Protect. Valvoline Restore and Protect has its cautions and its warnings that I'm giving to customers. Valvoline Restore and Protect is going to do its job. It is going to clean your engine. And if your engine's a little dirty, it's going to clean it up. If your engine's a lot of dirty, it's going to try and clean it up. And where's that lot of dirt going to go? It's going to start to clog things. It's not the oil's fault. It's the customer's fault who maintained that engine, or prior customer, or whatever. So yes, Valvoline Restore and Protect has its rewards, and it also has its negatives. And negatives are, if you got a nasty engine, you already need an engine, and it's going to help you figure out if you're going to need an engine replacement sooner. That's facts. So beware if you're going to use Valvoline Restore and Protect. There is a level of caution there, but it's not the oil's fault that the engine failed. You're doing the job. You bought this product for it to do a job, and that's clean. No different than you're cleaning your floor or degreasing something. I expect that product to perform. Valvoline Restore and Protect does perform, and it can perform to the point to where your engine will blow up because it's so nasty it will clog things or cause sensors to fail. It's not the oil's fault. It's the way that's been maintained. But absolutely, can you use different? I use different gear oil in my 88 Mustang. I think it was 80W90. I run 95 140 or something in my differential. I don't have any problems with that. But I'm not saying you are or you aren't. Be advised, educate yourself, call your dealership, call your local mechanic. If you can't get anywhere with that, owner's manual. If you're not sure, you can call Meineke and Rachel will look it up for you. We'll say, this says this, this, and this. Minimum spec is 0, whatever. And then it says, this oil is approved, this oil is approved. And that's facts. So minimum quality oil is what the manufacturers put in their drums. You think they're buying the highest quality, lowest quality oil to put in your car? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. So it's an experiment. And some of these technicians are fearful, right? Because I just heard one of my Chrysler techs say that he doesn't care what anyone says. He doesn't care what the internet says. He's going to put in that car whatever the manufacturer calls for. So if it says it takes 3 different oils, I assure you he's going to put it in there. Anything past that, he's not going to do. But he knows that he can and you can. It's just a matter of what are the liabilities. What I'm saying, figure it out for yourself. There is a window of operation for that stuff. And the minimum standards is on your oil cap. And there's nothing wrong with you going up a little bit in your weight and viscosity, and GM's proven it. Just the zero weights are just so bad for cars, but and the fuel economy, in my opinion, and power that you're getting from an 08 is nowhere near what you're going to miss. That's a fact. Zero weight is so that the engine has less resistance in its rotating masses. All right, it's for easier startups. It's for the engine just to be a looser engine. Once you start adding heavier weight oils to it, it does put a little bit more resistance on the engine, but I would rather have more lubricating qualities and add pack than the lowest minimum standard oil by spec, if anyone can follow that. So the information's out there. I'm glad the world's waking up. It actually took GM to get in the public and post that, hey, we're no longer running 020 in this engine. You now must run 040. And I bet you it's gonna change prior years if the momentum stays here. That they're gonna stop running that stuff and say, well, 040 still wasn't enough to keep these engines together. This is just my opinion. And then they might just go to a 10 weight. A 10 weight in South Jersey is nothing. We don't see negative cold temperatures. Our winters are nothing. Certain parts of the world where they build these cars, they need to be more precise on it. I really don't know. There is a science, but I'm not going to figure it out. All I'm going to tell you is follow what I say, follow what Master Tech, Ford Boss Me, Mocha Loco, now the Oil Geek, his content is shaky, so try and read through the lines. But like I said, for years he's saying, I've tested oil at 5,000 miles, it's good. I've actually had YouTubers tell me the same thing. I don't care. 7,500, it still can go. No. Why would you want to run in the weak to failure in red zone of oil? That's stupid. Thanks for watching.